Welcome, traveler, to Folk Recovery, Amanda Lowe Warnakulasuriya. And here is Amanda's story.
Hello, my name is Amanda Lowe Warnakulasuriya, and I am a multidisciplinary folk artist. I am folk because I am the accumulation of all the villages that have raised me. I am folk because I carry all the stories that have shaped and guide me going forward. I am folk because I exist, and I experience, and I love. I am folk because I am a collection of all the stories and ancestors and well wishes coming to fruition. I am folk because I am one fruit in the garden that has brought me here today. I found folk through my caregivers, those that span across different nations, identities, and communities. They taught me from my Sri Lankan side how to create community through music, through art, and through food. And I saw that reflected in the community that I grew up in on Prince Edward Island as well. Both island cultures, both community oriented, two different types of folk, but with the same meaning, the same values. They had shared values, shared morals, and shared community value, community integrity, community support, community care. So I found folk through both islands that raised me, Sri Lanka and Prince Edward Island, through common values and community care. I found folk through moving around, becoming my own person, exploring my own identity. I found folk through experimentation with music and listening to the stories of my elders and my community members, my lovers, my best friends, specifically the women in my family that have strongly supported me and helped me become who I am. I very much found folk through my grandfather, who was a big advocate for music and art, and who taught me how to be curious, inquisitive, and take a chance on my talents. I found folk through my community, through the care that we have with each other. Through our art, we create for ourselves, we create for each other, we create to support and heal one another together. So I am so thankful that I have found folk through my caregivers, my community, and through displacement. I also found folk through my grandfather, while hearing him sing church hymns and country ballads and traditional Sinhalese songs, whether it was Jim Reeves or some Sinhalese baila. It was always connective and impactful and inspiring to hear the different types of music that got him moving, and that also made me curious about the different types of music I could be making and making other people feel the way that he did when he listened to music. So I found folk through watching the joy spread through my grandfather while he listened to music and sang. I wanted to be able to create that type of atmosphere for everybody to feel safe and loved and cared for, when I was able to perform, when I was given that space, when I'm given a platform. So to watch him and to sing with him, whether I know we always sang Green Grease and Grass by Jim Reeves. which is one memory that I have of him. Because he had an amazing memory, photographic memory, but as a joke, he would always ask me, do you know Green Green Grass by Jim Reeves? Every single time I saw him, and it was just our little inside joke. Just thinking about it now, it's so silly. It didn't mean anything. It was just an inside joke. Yeah. What else? There's so many. There's so many memories with him. Um, Especially I would say him. It was fun. It was nice to hear him and my grandmother connect over music. So I'm happy I was able to find folk through the love that my grandparents had for each other when they sang together. Even though they were off tune the older they got, the less they could hear, but the more their heart was showing through the songs they were singing together. And I always admired their love and tenderness and vulnerability when they sang together. And I always just wanted to create that kind of space wherever I went. So I think they are very much the definition of folk for me. So yeah, yeah, this is cool. I'm just like kind of unearthing this now. Folk is it's an oral tradition, right? In in my mind, I'm like, I have both extremities. Well, my grandfather had a photographic memory, and my grandmother, before she passed, had Alzheimer's. So just the duality and complexity of both of their identities, I'm constantly reminded of. And I mean, it's very fresh because I was just in Sri Lanka. So I'm just thinking of how, yeah, I'm just thinking of how I've experienced the full spectrum of memory and how music is always the component that brings you together and that you always remember, but it's always shared with the ones that you love. So the only memories that she remembered were the ones of him while they were in the songs, the songs that she loved that they used to sing together. I would sing to her and she would remember it. So but it's always tied to him, right? So I love that. I don't know. It was just so cool. I see folk recovery here in Canada as a bridge to unite people that have been displaced, that have been underrepresented, that have struggled, that are learning, that are unlearning. I see folk recovery here in Canada as very much an opportunity to do better and be better, and to come together and appreciate and support the different types of love and resistance that different cultures have kept alive throughout the years, to not lose themselves, but at the same time try to survive elsewhere and try to thrive elsewhere and create that same type of feeling that they have in their bones deep somewhere. Just I see folk recovery as healing. So I see folk recovery here in Canada as an opportunity to heal, an opportunity to bridge different communities together, and an opportunity to explore your own identities and explore your own histories, and to create a better and stronger and more loving generation ahead, or future generations. I see folk recovery here in Canada as once again, like this, an opportunity to bridge different communities together. But because folk music is so different everywhere that you go, every different place has a different folk. I think when North America, when you hear folk music, you think of Americana, kind of country singer-songwriter vibes. But when you say folk music elsewhere, it's the traditional, a little bit of traditional, just oral storytelling, musical storytelling. it's very different. So it's world music. It's essentially what folk music is, right? So I find it funny. I find it interesting. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. I think it's the only, when you go into like folk music conferences and stuff, then it's a bit more. I find it's spreading a lot more. So I see folk recovery here in Canada as becoming more focused on world, so more focused on community rather than just the individual, then rather than just the assimilation that we've been taught to do and to become. So I see folk recovery here in Canada as the opportunity to really become who you want to be and not who you're told that you need to be in order to survive. My final share with you, traveler, is that no matter where you go and what you do, that every action that you take is rooted in love, and that everywhere that you go, you feel safe, supported, and at home.
Thank you, traveler, for joining us on this folk recovery oral history production, created by guest storytellers with contributions from Gaitrie Killings, ASL performer and advisor, Joni NehRita, folk community advisor and sound producer, Karen Young, technical producer, Stephanie Williams, assistant producer, Alyssa Matthews, station manager at CJRU 1280 AM, Allison Skirm, Special Collections and Liaison Librarian at Toronto Metropolitan University Libraries, Heather Hewitt, Folk Recovery Logo Designer, as well as Senior Artwork Specialist and Yogi. And special thanks to our friends, family, and community supporters, and to our funder, the Ontario Arts Council. I am Kijo Buchanan, narrator and executive producer. Ashe.